Hello everybody. It's time to continue with our lessons from last term. Do you remember way back when we could still get in our cars and drive to church and meet each other there? It feels so long ago to me. Let's think. We spoke about Jesus and his life on earth. Remember, he started teaching people. We had our memory verse, Mark 6, that said, so he began teaching them many things. And during this time that Jesus taught the people, many people became believers. They accepted Jesus in their hearts and in their lives. They became new people. Just the other day, we looked at the king driving into Jerusalem on the back of the donkey. Remember, just before Passover, this king was Jesus. This represents Jesus. He is the King of Kings, remember? And if we accept him as our Savior, as our King, we become his people living in his kingdom by his rules. And then our lives have to look different. But how? At church, we did a lesson about this man. Can you remember him? This lesson was about somebody who believes in Jesus. Jesus, the King. And this picture is something to help us think about the ways that we look different. So what we did with this man, we put him up here. That can be me, that can be you, or anybody that says they believe in Jesus Christ. And now we can add some pictures that will help us remember some truths about kingdom living. The first one we looked at was at someone's attitude. Remember about attitudes? We did good, bad attitudes and bad attitudes when we learned about the Beatitudes. Can you remember our B's that we make? Okay. An attitude that we can have is to, will we bring something to God to convince him to love us? We can bring him something to say, God, I want you to rescue me, please. I want you to love me. I want to be your child. So what can we bring him? We can bring him maybe a favorite toy. Maybe we can give it to someone that really wants it. That's a good gesture, good attitude. Maybe we can be obedient to our parents or have an attitude of being helpful and kind and helping around the house and maybe just working very hard. All these attitudes. I have a little box here, and in my box I brought along the things that I can bring to God. And I hope this can convince him to rescue me and bring me into his kingdom. Here's my box. Okay, let's open it. We'll see what's in it. No! Look here! It's empty! It's empty! Okay, there's nothing in it. What does it mean? We stand before God empty-handed. We have nothing that we can bring to him to convince him to love us. We have nothing that we can give him that is good enough for him to accept us. We can only trust on him. We can only depend on him and say, please God, please Jesus Christ, save me. I want to be your child. That is when we learn the verse in Matthew 5 verse 3. Remember that one that says, God blesses those people who depend only on him. They belong to the kingdom of heaven. So that is the attitude that a child of God must have. Total dependence on God. So, this attitude is represented by an empty suitcase that we stick onto our picture of this little man. Okay. Next, After attitude, we can look at behavior. What is that again? Behavior means the way we act, the way we do things. And we want to do things and act differently than we acted before, as soon as we become children of God. Why is that? Jesus wants his disciples or his children to look different so that the rest of the world can see us and think, what's different in that person? I want to be more like that. And maybe they come and ask questions and they discover who Jesus really is. And they become followers of Jesus too. So that's why we want a changed behavior. So how do we do that? We have a lesson that we looked at in March already, but it's really worthwhile going through it again. Can you remember the lesson about being salt of the earth and light to the world? That comes from Matthew 5, verse 13 to 16. I think it will be a good idea if you can go to Mommy and Daddy and ask them to read that to you. We discussed it a little bit and we will discuss it some more next time. But do that as an activity this week. Read it together and go and see what you can learn from that. And now to the parents, we put a link of this lesson on the St. James WhatsApp group. So you can go and download it there if you'd like, if it's possible for you, and read maybe the leader's notes. It helps us as parents to get our heads around this abstract idea of being salt and light. Luckily, it's sometimes easier for our kids to get to grips with this. But do take the time to go and make it your own and start living it at your houses. I know we try to, and I know I fail many times doing this, but that's part of the process of purifying and becoming holy. Okay, and with this activity, kids, I would encourage you, let's draw our own pictures. I start mine. You want to see my picture? I made my own picture because I don't look like that other guy. I look like this, don't you think? With my blue jacket, and my long hair, and my booties. And there's my name, and it says Love Jesus. And on it, I stuck a little picture of an empty box because my empty box says, I am dependent on God, on Jesus alone for my salvation. That's the only way I can become his child. So that reminds me of my dependence. I'll stick it up on the fridge. You can do the same, and I would love to see your pictures. Next time when we get together again and we talk more about the salt and the light, then we can make pictures of that and add it onto that. And it reminds us of how our lives should look different. Our attitudes should be different. One last thought I'm going to share with you. Why do we call Jesus King? This one last part comes from Colossians 1 verse 16. We read there that for by him all things were created, in heaven and on earth, visible and invisible, whether thrones or dominions or rulers or authorities, all things were created through him and for him. There's a beautiful song that uses exactly these words with some actions. See if you can do that with this song. See you next time.